Well, hello, everyone. This is Dave. I am joined by John Turnbull, who created the Red Ice Hockey. Welcome back, John.
Thank you.
I will say I know we're playing hockey today, but I'm enjoying your basketball game.
There's a couple people that are just starting out to get into that, and how was that? I think that's one of my next seasons I'm going to make is going to be a basketball season. So
I think I'm on a basketball thing. I don't know what it is. When I was in Connecticut, and I sat down and you went over the hockey game. I was like, yeah, it looks good. And then I said, show me a basketball game. And you showed me a basketball game like late on Sunday.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is great. I need to play this. And then right after I was sitting with you, I ended up sitting down. Oh, I forget who it was. It was ST and Dave Little and somebody else, and they were playing Bank Shot. And I was like, oh man, this game is great too. So there's two basketball games that I got on the way out the door. That was kind of neat. But today we're playing, and this is going to be Red Ice Hockey today. I get the box right here. I'm special. I get the box.
Yeah.
And we're going to go over the empty net segment right now because he come out with a new empty net procedure, and it's been confusing some people, myself included. So we've been talking about this for about a half hour, and I think we have it all explained. And so this is what we're going to try to do today. Okay, so we have this new empty net alternate rule that you posted in the Facebook group, and I assume that's up on your website right now too, right?
Yep, on the website and in
Okay.
the Google Drive. Yep.
Okay, so this kind of simplifies things. Okay, now the old way, if you want to still use the old way, so let me zoom in here. Okay, so we're in 74-75 right now. So the old way, let's just say New York was losing to Atlanta. This is the Rangers. Okay, we would roll our offense and defense, right? No, we would not. We would look at the shots on net, right?
After the 11th segment.
Yes. So you have your segment here, and after segment 11, there's only one segment left. After segment 11, you look to see which team has the most shots, okay? And that's calculated during the game. Then you come over here. So the Islanders, they're going to pull their goalie because they're down, and if they have more shots than Atlanta, then they're going to be with the empty net, and they would be able to choose the higher of the two numbers, which they're
Now
identical.
it's going to be the same on the pre.
On the older ones, they're identical.
Yeah, it's the same. But
Now, on the newer ones, though, let's just say Edmonton was down. So they would, if they had the most shots, they could choose between the 32
right,
and the Florida's
27.
27. So I think they'd want to choose the 32. Right, so that's with and that's against. So against the empty net, they would allow a goal on 27 or less. They would score a goal on 32 or less. So obviously, there's 5 more chances as you'd want to do that. And then you would roll your percentage dice, and if it comes up,
If it comes up 0-32, then they score, and then if it comes up 33-60, they would allow.
Okay. So that's how that works. Okay.
Right.
So
that's
you get
that card right there is one of the rare advantages where they actually had a greater number of percentages to score when they had to pull their goalie as opposed to what they allowed with the empty net.
Okay. Now the new way, which is a little bit easier, I would say it's a lot easier actually. Let me get these out of the way here. All right, so let's go back to our pre-2000s and let's just do this here. All right, so we have New York, we have Atlanta. Okay. So New York is losing. Now, let me zoom back out here. It's in a little tight. There we go. All right, so New York is losing. And we're going to look over here at this segment, and that's all we're going to look at right here because this is pre-2000.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take our dice and roll. Now, the empty net number now, it is no longer the number in here. It is the year, so it's 75 on this particular year. So we're going to roll the empty net sequence, and a 59, that is within range of 75. So we will use this segment. If it was 89, then that means they can't get the goalie out, and we just do a regular segment, which they still could score. Okay, right. Maybe they didn't choose to pull the goalie. Maybe they just whatever, but they still could. Maybe they score early in that segment, so they don't need to pull the goalie. Again, you can come up with your own storyline for that. All right, so but we're going to roll within range of the empty net. Okay, so we're in range of the empty net. All you do now is just roll on this chart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's one roll. So this is pre-2000, all the way up to 1999, 1998, 1999, I think. Or does that include 2000?
I would go 99-2000 on that one.
Okay, so all the way up to 99-2000. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to roll our dice here. And I have 12. So at 12, the winning team goal, that is basically empty net goal. So New York pulls their goalie. Atlanta will fire that into the empty net, and that will be that. Now, we were talking earlier about this, and again, if New York was the visiting team, and they were in the 12th segment, and they pull their goalie, and that happens. They give up the empty net goal to Atlanta. So now let's just say it's 4-2 instead of 3-2. You could end the game there, just give Atlanta the empty net goal. But if you wanted to, as an optional rule, you could continue to roll Atlanta's 12th segment, right? If they're the winning team and they're the home team, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if you wanted to, just to try to get some stats to line up in the whole bit, that would be an optional way to go with that. Which one would you suggest? If someone's playing a season replay, would you suggest that they play it out, or would you just say that it's okay to call that empty net goal a goal and call it a day?
I would play it out.
You would play it out?
If you're playing a replay, I would play it out. Now, another option that I actually just thought of, let's say you play out the goal, okay?
Okay.
And the visiting team was losing. They scored the empty net goal into the empty net. You roll the time chart, and that time chart says, let's see, let's call it 13:30 into the period. The other team, which you have the option to roll, let's say they roll and they score a goal. If you roll your time, if it's after the time of that empty net, I wouldn't count it, because realistically, that segment is a combination of both teams playing during that 5-minute period. And it would make more sense that team who's winning would actually score that goal before the other team pulled their goalie. So you can use the timing of the two goals as a decider of whether or not to count that goal or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think the easiest way, the simplest way, is just give it the one roll, and there you go. And again, Vin was saying that it's we might need to rename the goals. Yeah, Vin, I was suggesting that too. Is that winning team goal? That should just be empty net goal, and then maybe down the bottom a little star that says empty net goals are scored by the winning team, and then just call these other ones goal, and asterisk goals are scored by the losing team.
Or leading team goal. Would that make more sense as opposed to winning team?
Yeah, leading team goal. Yep, leading and trailing. Yep, that would make sense. Yeah, but I think empty net goal is what we all look for. At least the hockey people. Again, if you never played hockey, then maybe that's why I think you could put the asterisks in and just renaming. And Vinny says that the winning team goal, losing team has been confusing people. Yeah, I see where he's going. He's trying to. Yeah, he's trying to show that which team scored, you know what I mean? So, but anyway, okay, so that's the old way. So one more time. So this time, let's just say Atlanta is trailing New York, and Atlanta's the home team, let's say. So New York has rolled, and they lead 3-2. So Atlanta says, I'm going to pull my goalie here in the last segment because Atlanta's home and they're trailing. So we need to roll here, and we have a 27. So we're within 75 because that's the year we're playing. We're playing 75. So we are in the empty net segment. So now we're going to take our 3d6, and we're going to roll 3d6, and that's going to be a 13 and a 13. So that would be a winning team goal. But again, we might change it to empty net goal. So the Rangers throw it into the Atlanta net. And that now final, instead of 3-2, is now 4-2, and that ends the game. So basically, any empty net goal ends the game is what it is.
Correct.
Now back here, there's really no way that you could score 2, right? If you wanted to pull the goalie by 2, it's not gonna help you, right?
No, you can, because if you pull your goalie and you roll and you end up with something in the green, then the team who pulled their goalie scores a goal. And then they get a chance to roll again for the same rules that apply as the old rules as far as trying for a second empty net goal within that segment.
Okay, and so just refresh our memory. What is that procedure there? So you want to get another empty net chance?
If you know what, here's the deal on that one, and I can I do plan on changing the semantics as far as the lettering on that. And I think what I'll do is, the old rules were, if you scored an empty net goal, you had a chance to score a second one, but that number that you have, that score, that 18 in there, would actually be cut in half.
Oh, so all you need to do is create another one of these.
No, all I'd have to do is saying it would just be I can just choose either the top or the bottom set and delete it. For the second roll, it would be a 3 to 6 only. 15 to 18 would count as no goal.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Yeah. So if you get if you're down by 2, you pull it out and you score. Okay, great. You get one more roll to get a second goal. But now it's only the top up here on the second try. So now, what happened here? You still with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Something come up was kind of weird. All right. So now, let's just say I scored into the empty net. So now it's a 1-goal game. So I roll again. And so that 10 would be nothing, but I would need 3, 4, 5, or 6 to do it again.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So that's the procedure there, and I like that. So we're gonna I'm nudging him, Vin. I'm nudging him to make some changes here because like I said, people know what the empty net is, and Vin said too, you could put the trailing team goal off to the side, but empty goal and empty net goal because if you think of it, if you just call it goal when you're playing the game. If you're on the defense or the power play, all these goals can only be scored by the team you're rolling for. Mm-hmm. So over here, if you called it goal, the only team that can score is the team you're rolling for. Empty net goal would mean that
the team
the other team. That would be the only time you could score on another team's segment is with that right there. Okay. So we're just trying to clarify this because I do like this new method here, and that's what we're here. We're talking about this. We're going to try to get the chart a little bit better for you. Okay, so that's the pre stuff here. So one more time with Atlanta and New York. Okay, one more time here. So we're going to roll my percentage die, and let's see if, okay, now let's just say we're going to roll a 65. Okay, so it's before 75. So here we go. So Atlanta pulls the goalie again. And Atlanta with a 9. Oh, that's nothing. All right, so that would be game over. Game over.
If that was the team in the bottom of the segment, that was the last team to roll the segment, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So if New York were to roll that and they were the visitors, you'd still play out the Atlanta segment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Only when an empty net goal is scored would that end the game.
Right.
Okay. All right. So that is older seasons. So that's for guys like me who like playing older seasons. So I have brought in the newer seasons here. So we have Edmonton and Florida now.
Now, I will say, sorry for interrupting, the seasons that are in the Google Drive and on the Facebook files do have the correct numbers for the older seasons.
Okay.
So those, I think what you printed out may have been before I had.
Yeah. These are the old ones here. So the empty net segment of 15, you would ignore that and you would go to the year, and that's been correct. So if you have a printed copy, just keep in mind that all you're doing is looking at the year. So if this was going to be 78, change it to 78. If it's 81, 82, that empty net number is 82. So when you roll this dice here and you're looking at the old segment, if it's greater than 82. 83 or higher, then you would not use this chart and you would just roll normally, which still could give you the chance to win, to tie the game or whatever it is, or even win it with a 2-goal segment. All right, so we're going to play some new stuff here. So in the 2000s, okay, so now you have here 96. Would that be correct? This is something I just printed out today. Okay.
Yeah, so anything after 2000 has the correct numbers on it.
All right, so you can see that the 96. So Edmonton is trailing. We're going to roll our dice here, and a 7. So Edmonton pulls the goalie. Okay, so now we have a different procedure here for the newer season, so to speak. Roll the empty net number. If higher, then it's a normal segment. It was not higher. Okay, it was equal to or less than. So we're going to be in the empty net segment. Now we're going to roll decider die, and I rolled defense. So read off the applicable team power play column. So if Edmonton is trailing, right? So I'm going to be looking at the Edmonton power play defense, correct?
If Edmonton is pulling their goalie, they look on the other team's defensive chart card.
Okay. So Edmonton pulled the goalie, so we're looking at the defense. Florida's on defense now, so we're looking at the defense power play.
Correct.
Okay. and then we roll the 3d6. And at any time, if there's a power play goal, that's basically an empty net goal by Florida, and that will end the segment, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. If there's nothing, we keep going. And if there's a shorthanded goal, that would end the segment too, with the one shorthanded goal, correct?
That's this. Okay. The goal ends, but you still have the chance to score a second one. So that probably needs to be reclassified also.
All right, so we got to find a way. If you're down by 2 goals and you get the empty net goal, you can continue to roll, but we need to kind of take a look at that and fix that too. Okay.
Yep.
I like the idea of cutting that in half.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, again, you'll come up with something for that. All right, but let's just roll here. All right, so let's just say
so if you cut it in half, we'll just make it 3 rolls instead of 6.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to play this out here because you can do up to 6 rolls on this. But again, if you score, then you get 1 empty net. So now you have to figure out the procedure for the second empty net. Again, on the first one here, I think what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of these here. So if you get 1 empty net goal and you roll again, then you can only score on the lower numbers here. And on this procedure here, but we're going to do this procedure here, okay? So let's roll the dice. And let's play. We're down by 1. So here's our first roll. Our first roll is 12, right? Mm-hmm. So our first roll is 12, so that is absolutely nothing. So we would roll again. Our second roll is 12, so that's nothing again. So after 2 rolls and you get nothing, now you get down here.
Right. After the second roll, the team who is leading cannot have a chance to score a goal. The last 4 rolls are chances only for the trailing team to score with a shorthanded goal roll.
Okay, so it continues off the defense.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on the Florida card. So again, it's Edmonton with the pulled goalie, but because we rolled defense, we're over here on the power play chart. And we're looking at now we need to get a shorthanded goal. So I'm ignoring everything else. So the only way
15 or 18.
So I need 15 or 18. So there's my first roll of 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
After we rolled 2, first roll of 4.
Yep.
Nothing again. And that's going to be 11. That's nothing. And the last one there is nothing too. So that at that point, the segment would end.
Yep.
Now, if I were to get a goal here.
If you got a goal, what I'm going to do for the rules for the second goal is it'll be 3 rolls instead of 6. The first 2 will still count for the other team to tack on an extra goal, but only 1 extra instead of 4 extra for the second one.
Okay. That makes sense for modern seasons. Okay. Yep. So it's 4-2, and we're reading off this, and I get 15. Okay. So on one of my rolls, at some point, it doesn't matter if it's here or here, right? At that point, they're in the first segment. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I get the goal. So now I cut it to 4-3 instead of 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
So does that stay the same now? I would say for simplicity's sake, yeah, I would keep that the same. Okay, because we've already determined what's happening. So I would say that stays the same. Again, it's your game, and you can let everybody know. So now I come down here. So I do 1 and 2 again. But if I get nothing, then I get 1 instead of 4 down here. All right, so let's roll. Look at that. That's a 15.
There you go.
So I would get the second empty net goal.
Yes.
So now I've tied it at 4-4. Would you consider that now the segment done?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, if you were down 3, let's say you used it when you were down 3, I would go down to 1 roll. That was it. 1 roll.
Okay.
With a chance to score again. The chances, the odds of scoring 3 shorthanded, having shorthanded goal rolls with the number of max chances you have is
unless you're playing the Maple Leafs, right? Then there's got to be a special rule for that, right? All right, so let's try to recap what's going on here. So if you're playing an older season, all righty. You're playing an older season. This is Atlanta Flames from 74-75. All you need to do is roll your dice and compare it to the year. All right, 48 means we are in the empty net segment because it's less than 75. You take your 3 die, you roll here, and you have a 10, which is nothing. If you had scored so just to clarify here one more time, if we score, so that's a 17. If we score into the empty net, if we score to tie the game, you would consider that segment done.
Correct.
If you're down by 2 and you score 1 to cut it to 1 goal, you can get a second empty net roll, and then we're going to modify this chart just to use the top of the chart.
Yeah, what I actually might do is I might, instead of having 1 column, I might actually split this into 3. So the first one will be when the first chance. This middle one would be the second chance, and the third one would be the third chance. If that.
I like that. I like that. Yeah. Okay. So that's how the pre-2000 seasons work. You just roll to see if you're in the empty net range, and you roll the dice here, and you will have a chance if you do score. So if you score, that's the only way you'll go is if you score into the empty net. Okay. So that's how you do the old one. I like that. It's a lot simpler. The newer ones. So if we're playing a newer team, so like Florida. So now we're going to roll on the empty net number here, and it's a 68. So we have 96. So that is in range. Then you roll off of this. Okay. Now, if you roll defense, that means you go off the other team. So as Florida's trying to score, we got to pull up Edmonton, and we're going to read the Edmonton defense power play. Then we're going to roll our dice and see what we have. So we have a 10. So that is nothing. That's roll 1. We have an 11. That is nothing. That's roll 2. So now at this point, the only thing that can happen on the next 4 rolls is if we roll an 18, Florida would get the goal to tie the game, or they would get an empty net goals. No, they would get a goal. They have the empty net. They would score.
It'll be goal, empty net goal.
So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. That was close, and there's 4, and that is that. So that would end the game. They would not score in the empty net. Well, that would end their segment. And again, if we were looking at the segment here, and Florida was away in their 12th segment, they didn't get anything in the empty net. You could either just call it a day, or if you wanted to, you could have the optional roll into that and finish that segment. Okay, I would probably just end the game myself. Then again, if I was playing a full season replay, I might want to bump that up and play the segment out.
Use that timing rule that I had mentioned.
Yeah, use the timing rule. All right. So John's going to come up with a couple of more charts here and a couple of more ways to do this, though. No, it's not a shorthanded goal, but we're using the power play chart to determine if that team can score with the goalie out. So there's less chances of them scoring with the goalie out. So he's using the shorthanded goal range here to determine if they scored with the goalie on the bench.
Yeah, the reason I'm using...
So this doubles. This chart will double as an empty net chart.
Right. But it's not the semantics of power play versus shorthanded. Just don't even pay attention to that. If it rolls this as PPG, then it equals this. SHG would equal that.
Yep. Okay. And would you want to put something in there? If again, we're kind of just looking at. I'm just trying to think if the winning team, if the leading team had a man in the box, but again, I don't think there's any way to really determine that, right? Because there's no power play, so to speak, in this game.
Right.
So so it just kind of be as is. That just kind of struck me there. I was like, what if the team was on the advantage there? But I guess in a quicker play game like this, that's not going to factor in.
Mathematically, the team who pulls his goalie has the power, if you want to call it the man advantage. Okay, during that segment, they have the man advantage since they pulled their goalie. It's a 6-on-5 in most cases. But they are using the shorthanded goal results because statistically the team that gets to shoot into the empty net still has about a 2.5 times greater chance of scoring a goal. So that's
right. Okay.
The reason behind that.
All righty. So this hopefully this helps a little bit. Again, since we've talked here, John says he got. I can see him writing things down. So
I'm taking notes.
The wheels are spinning here. So you can use this for right now. And again, he'll come up with a new chart for this. But I like this better than this old way here. This makes sense. And this is kind of neat because you get a lot of rolls here. You get up to 6 rolls. It's really hard to score that tying goal, but at least you can roll dice. And that's what we're here for, to roll dice. And so hopefully that'll work out. But anyway, all right. Well, John, thanks for joining me here, and hopefully this helped out, and hopefully we'll get some clarification on this because it's a real fun game. But the empty net segment was kind of confusing here, and we know where you were going with this, but now it's up to you to make it fun, and I think this is going to make it much more fun.
Yeah, I think it simplifies things greatly. And to answer Vinny's question, my wife is doing really good. Thank you for asking.
Oh, is she still getting you dinner and stuff like that? Or you on your own for that? I mean, I can't imagine how tough that must be. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
Oh, so anyway, all right, John, thank you so much. And again, we'll be back with round 2 of this after I get back from Colorado, once we get the new charts up. So I can't wait to show this off. But again, I like the direction we're going here with the empty net sequence. The empty net sequence is my favorite part of all sports. Any sports at all. Empty net is just the most tense thing I've ever seen in my life for sports. So I want to make sure that this segment here is done really nice. So, all right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Maybe I'll catch you later on tonight after dinner because I'm off tonight. So hopefully we'll have some live action for you. But I just wanted to go over this with John. So to clarify this for now, we'll be looking for the new charts soon and some new instructions here that'll make this even more simple. So we'll talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.